Hey, this is the video I made about the 2020 Game Maker's Toolkit Jam and my game I made for it. For those of you who don't know, a game jam is a typically online event where a bunch of people make a game with a limited amount of time and usually some restrictions or a theme, or both. In this game jam, which is hosted by the fantastic Game Maker's Toolkit YouTube channel, me and 16,000 other people were given a theme and 48 hours to make a game. And I didn't have anything better to do, so I did it. I had a bit of a game idea coming into this jam. I wanted to make a game that somehow you had a physics-based hoverboard in it. A few months ago I saw this Reddit post, and later on found this old tutorial on how to make a physics-based hoverboard. So I decided that I would eventually use this in a game jam. Out of control. It's an interesting theme that isn't too limiting, and I think I can fit my game idea in it perfectly. I'm going to make it so that you steal a hoverboard from somewhere, and then you're running around down the streets of a city, and some people are chasing you. That's as far as I've gone right now. I'm not sure who the people who are chasing you should be, maybe scientists, mafia, but that doesn't matter right now. What matters is coming in and building the prototype for the main part of the game, the hoverboard. So I just followed the aforementioned tutorial, which is very, very old by the way. And I got a beautiful hoverboard in just about an hour. It took a lot of time to mess with the camera and all the values so that the hoverboard was somewhat stable, but it's mostly working now. I then imported Pro Builder and ProGrid, which are two things I can use to make levels much faster. I also imported post-processing, that way I can make the game look pretty, and then moved on to create some models. I know it may seem like a bit early to start work on modeling, but I like getting some good art at the beginning of a game jam project. It can be sort of motivating to have the game look decent from the beginning, and though I don't plan on doing too much modeling in this project, a large amount of stuff will be coming straight out of asset packs. I still want to make the main character, the hoverboard, and the enemy. I then went to adding the player model into the game. I simply parented it to the hoverboard, and right now it has no collision, but I plan on changing that soon. The player's model will not have like a rigid body whenever it's on the hoverboard, because then it'll make it super unstable. Anyways, the main way that you die in this game is going to be by accidentally flipping or hitting your body or head on something, or being shot by some sort of enemy. I added a new script onto the player which makes it so that if you hit a wall with your body, you die. And whenever you die, a ragdoll is created, the player's old mesh renderer on the hoverboard is hidden, and the camera is set to follow the player's body. Anyways, the last few things I did before going to bed were I first imported some of those free assets I talked about earlier. I got these cool low poly city and car models I saw in the Unity asset store for free. And while I do feel a bit weird using some free assets, I simply don't have the time to create decent looking assets by myself for this jam. So it is now Saturday, and after getting up and making breakfast, it is now time to work on the game. This morning I have a few plans. I want to build the first stage, and I also want to get all the pieces together that I'm going to be making the stages out of. That means enemies, obstacles, level pieces, and things like the start and end points, as well as a timer for good measure. Anyway, I'm now focusing on creating an enemy. I decided that authorities of all kinds will be chasing after you, trying to get your hoverboard back, because you stole it from the government. So the enemy plans are going to be a stationary guy with a pistol, who will be the army guy, a guy in a Segway, which will be like a mall cop, and a reference to the best film of our time. Maybe some other ones if I have the time to add them. Spoiler alert, I didn't. Creating the pistol guy's model was not very hard. I just used the player as a base for the model and gave him a hat and a gun. I then put together a basic behavior script that makes it face the player, and whenever he collides with the boards, he turns into a ragdoll just like the player does. Just give me a second. Yeah, here we go. Now you can kill the enemy without dying yourself, and it's time to make him fight back. I added to the behavior script and made the enemy shoot bullets on a timer. I then made the enemy only start shooting whenever you're close, and made the bullets destroy themselves when hitting anything, and now you can get shot. Yay. So we've officially reached the halfway point of this jam, and I've just completed the first level. I think we're doing pretty well. I can definitely create a few more levels, enemies, obstacles, and a menu, at least I hope. Anyway, the game is currently just supposed to be about you stealing a hoverboard and then going on an out-of-control rampage across the city. Currently, it just feels like a nice jog down the city with some guys shooting at you. So I'm going to add some helpless civilians for you to torture. They'll just run away from you, and if you feel like it, you can hit them with your board, like the military guys. I just added a very basic model and a little running animation for them first. Then I put them in-game and added a simple animation controller and behavior script. They will stand still until the player gets close and then start booking it in the opposite direction of the player. If you hit them, then they ragdoll. There is literally no reward for hitting him at all. All it does is slow you down. There is absolutely no incentive to hit them, but it's probably my favorite thing to do in the game. After that, I moved on to making a simple menu screen. It's just a 3D model of the hoverboard spinning around. I then wanted to make a logo, and I kinda need to have a name for that, so I settled on Hoverboard Heist, because I think it fits well, kind of explains the story quickly, and also has alliteration, so that makes it like 50% better. I then made a splash screen in this pretty okay looking menu. It lags a lot in the editor though, so I'm hoping that it'll actually work in the build, because I need to move on. So I'm going to finish up creating all the level elements and then create the levels. I first created a basic jump pad, and jumping off the ramps is pretty difficult, so I decided to add a simpler way, just in case I need it later on in the game. Next up, I'm going to add another enemy. This one will be a mall cop on a Segway. Yeah, I'm excited. Here it is, and it's the goofiest enemy yet. Anyways, now I need to make some levels. I want about 5 in the final game, and the last one will maybe be a sort of a boss fight. So let's get going. There was a major storm, and I lost quite a bit of time because the power went out. But later on I was able to make one new stage that night, but I'm gonna have to possibly drop a few features. Namely, keeping track of time and saving them, and also probably the boss at the end of the last level. Though keeping track of time will be number 1 on the stretch goal, I just need to focus on finishing the levels and menu. So I got up today and got straight to work finishing the levels. I finished 2 and then made 3 and 4. And then finally I created 5. After finishing that final level, I added some simple sound effects and this royalty-free track I found online. I then got to work finishing up the menu. I added this about page thing that gives a bit of story and the controls and stuff. It looks like a newspaper and was made in Google Slides, so super professional. Finally, I made all the buttons and the menu work and added the restart level button as well as a return to menu button. With just a few minutes left, I exported the PC version and set up the itch.io page. I was planning on making a web version as well, but it didn't export in time, unfortunately, and I wasn't there for the 30 minutes overtime thing where you could send it in, so I was completely unable to submit it. So yeah, that was the making of Hoverboard Heist, my entry into the 2020 Game Maker Toolkit Jam. Not having a web version seriously messed up how many people actually played my game and rated it, but that's fine. Overall, though I tried to tone back the scope for this game jam, it was still probably too much, and I was unable to do a lot of key features as well as to have enough time to make sure it actually got exported. The next game jam I do, I will make the simplest game I can, and then make it way too polished. At least that's my plan. I'll probably just do the same thing again, but whatever. If you want to check out the game and maybe rate it if you're watching this early on, then there is a link in the description, so check it out. Be sure to like and subscribe and stuff. Bye.